Welcome back, everyone. Are you still there? Are you still with us? I'm so sorry. We're having all kinds of horrific technical issues, but we're going to get there. Hey, and thank you very much to everyone who's been texting me to say that my audio wasn't working. I know, especially to my mum, who's been texting me constantly to tell me that my audio isn't working. Mum, I know the audio is not working. It was such a shame. We were just chatting to Joe, actually, just before we move on to our next presenter. The Voyager spacecraft, which left the solar system, which was launched in 1977, took with it, we were talking about these golden records. And it's quite an interesting experiment to do as a time capsule. If you were going to send a time capsule out beyond the solar system, what would you put in it? What music would you put in it? What messages would you put in it? It's exactly the question that Carl Sagan and others did. They attached these golden records to the Voyager spacecraft. So out there, waiting to be intercepted, maybe by intelligent extraterrestrial life, are these murmurs of Earth. I'm just going to read you a bit very quickly. This was the bit I was just going to read with Joe. It's so wonderful. It's so beautiful. Sagan was such a wonderful writer, imagining what the aliens would think about life on Earth. He said they would wonder about us. They would know that 60,000 years is a long period of time in the history of civilizations. They would recognize the tentativeness of our society, its tenuous acquaintance with technology and wisdom together. Had we destroyed ourselves, or had we gone on to greater things? Some of the Voyager music intentionally expresses a kind of cosmic loneliness, which would perhaps communicate itself across the expanse of light years and the differences in evolutionary history. We too were time capsuling, searching the skies and seeking out another civilization with which to communicate. I love that. I love Sagan. So good. So there you go. There's a project for you. Put together your own time capsule. If you're going to send a time capsule out on a rocket, out to another star system, perhaps, what would you put on it? There you go. Okay, enough about rockets, enough about contacting extraterrestrials. We're going to move on to our next presenter, Leonie Briggs from Barnsley, no less, who's going to be talking about exploding rainbows. Now, I don't know quite what she's going to be talking about, but I like the word explosion and I like the word rainbows. In fact, Leonie, if you're not going to actually explode real rainbows, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. It's over to Leonie in Barnsley.
Hello, everybody. It's absolutely amazing to see you today, and I am so thrilled and excited that we have got so many scientists taking part in our STEM Ambassadors Live. And I'm very, very honoured that I'm here today and part of it. So thank you so much, Dallas, for your kind introduction. I am here in a very, very sunny Barnsley today, which is in South Yorkshire, which is in the north of England, presenting to you all. I am a science teacher, so I work at Darton Academy, so big shout out to all my super scientists who are hopefully watching today, but to everybody who wants to take part. The idea of the experiment that I'll be doing today and that I've been doing throughout the whole of lockdown is that you're able to find these ingredients in a kitchen cupboard, in the garage, out in the garden, that they're really safe, simple, fun experiments that every single one of you can do at home. I'm also really proud to be a STEM ambassador. I've only quite recently become a STEM ambassador, and I became a STEM ambassador so that I could hopefully inspire a younger generation of scientists into a career in science, so you can see how amazing science is, how science is involved in everyday life, and to try and make it relevant and something that you all want to continue to study and enjoy. So today, we're going to explode some rainbows. Now, I can see you all thinking, well, how are we going to do that? What's an explosion? Well, in this case, the explosion is going to be a chemical reaction. And the explosion is going to be a chemical reaction in which it creates a gas. And the gas bubbles and expands really, really rapidly. So we're going to use the chemistry side of science today. And we're all going to be chemists to explode our rainbows. I decided on rainbows because at the moment they're a real symbol of hope. And I think it'll all encourage us as well to remember to be kind to one another and to look after one another. So I'm going to run through what you're going to need for this experiment. I'm going to show you each piece of equipment, and we're going to do it in a step-by-step manner. I'm then also going to do it one more time at the end, because I know that when I'm at school, all my students really say, oh, come on, miss, let's do it again. And I thought it'd be a really nice recap. You'll also be able to re-watch this video because it will remain on the STEM Learning YouTube channel. And I've also made a fact sheet that will be available via STEM Learning. So you can download the fact sheet when it's available, and you can all do your exploding rainbows at home. So what are we going to need today to explode rainbows? Now we're going to need some small containers. Now again, like I say, this is science from home, so it's anything that you can get your hands on. Now as a chemist, I quite like experiments that are a bit messy, so please do make sure that you check with an adult before you carry out any of these experiments, and ideally do it outside on a nice sunny day like today, or put a bit of protective sheeting down because we are going to make a bit of a mess. So you're going to need some clear containers. Now it doesn't matter how big the container is, and in fairness you'll be able to use less of the ingredients and the equipment if you use smaller ones, and it works just as well. So at the end I've got some more ideas of what you can do with your newfound scientific knowledge from today. Now how many containers do you think we're going to need if we're doing exploding rainbows? So have a quick think about that. Think how many colours are in a rainbow. Yeah, that's right, we're going to need 7, because we all need to remember that Richard of York gave battle in vain. So we're going to need 7 clear containers. But you know, if you're thinking, I don't know if I can find 7 containers around the house, doesn't matter. You can do them separately, you can mix your own colours. It's your science at home, so you can have as much fun with it as you like. What else are we going to need to do exploding rainbows today? We're going to need some baking powder. So again, this is something that hopefully, with the permission of an adult, you might find in your kitchen cupboard at home. So we're going to use baking powder. We're also going to use vinegar. So again, this is something, it's just standard vinegar. I'm using the distilled, the white one, just because you can see the colours better, but any vinegar should work in this experiment. We're also going to need a spoon. Now the spoon is just to get your baking powder out of the pot and into your glass containers. We're also going to need some food colouring. So again, ideally, we're going to make an exploding rainbow. But if you don't have all the colours of the rainbow, use whatever you have at home, because we will have to do a bit of colour mixing. So again, remember what we will need. We're going to need red first, because that's our Richard, isn't it, in our acronym for rainbows. So we're going to need some red food colouring. So it's Richard off. Now orange. Now I don't happen to have orange food colouring, but I do have some yellow and I do have some red. So for my orange, I'm going to mix those two together. So you've got Richard of York gave. Now what does that represent in our rainbow? Green. So Richard of York gave battle. We're going to need some blue food colouring. So Richard of York gave battle in vain. So I'm also going to need indigo and violet. Now I really do wish that I had indigo and violet food colouring, but unfortunately I don't. I don't have any purple colour food colouring, but I have got pink. So with my pink food colouring, I'm going to mix it with some of my blue, and one part of my rainbow will just need to be a bit pink. Now remember as well, please do make sure you have put a protective sheet down, or you can do it outside in the sunshine. You might also have a pair of these at home. You'd be amazed what you can find in some science sets that maybe you got for Christmas or for a birthday. So if you do have some goggles, you can wear them at home just to make sure that we're nice and safe, we've got nothing getting into our eyes. I would also recommend that you stand up when you do this experiment, because remember, the rainbows are going to explode. So I don't want any of that hitting you in the face or even getting on your clothes. Same with the food colouring, it does stain. I've quite often got blue hands, pink hands, red hands, green hands are a bit of a mixture from doing all of my experiments at home. So again, make sure you've got some wipes on the side, can wash your hands, and that we don't spill it anywhere. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have got your clear containers set up. But like I say, don't worry about it too much. The idea with this is that it's anything that you can find at home. The first thing that we're then going to do is we are going to add our bicarbonate of soda. So you're going to need to use a spoon. Now again, this is going to depend on the size of your glass container to how much baking powder you put into the bottom of them. A spoonful should do it. If you want to be an absolute super scientist, you can measure this out accurately for each one. So I'm going to add a spoonful of baking powder to each of my glass containers. So that is the first step that we need to follow. And I hope that you're all watching carefully, because I've got a bit of a task for you at the end of this video. Ideally as well, do make sure that your containers are on a flat surface, just so that they don't fall over and spill. The next thing that we need to do for our exploding rainbows is we are going to add our food colouring. And again, this is where it can get a bit messy. I know I'm going to make a mess. I'm a scientist, I'm a chemist. I'm going to have my wipe at the ready before my hands go bright pink or blue. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to carefully take the lid off your food colouring. Now you only need to put a couple of drops of food colouring to make your exploding rainbow. So remember, Richard, red. We're going to make some orange in here. So we're going to mix, we're going to mix our red and our yellow together. You see, it's a good job I was prepared. I've already got food colouring all over me, that's normal. So I'm going to put my yellow in there to make orange. So Richard of York gave, so we're then going to add our green food colouring. We're then going to, in the next one, so remember, all these colours are going separately into each container. So it's red in the first one, orange in the second one, yellow in the third one, green in the fourth one. You can mix them all together if you like, but if you want to make a rainbow, this is the order that you would need to do them in. We're then going to put blue. This is again where I need to do a bit of mixing. So unfortunately, I don't have a purple. But if we mix some blue and pink together, then one of them will have to pretend is indigo, but it might just have to be a shade of pink. Okay, so by this stage, we should have our clear containers with our baking powder in, with our food colouring in. Now, the food colouring really is just to make it look pretty and look like a rainbow. It's our baking powder and our vinegar that's doing all the hard work today, that is performing a chemical reaction. Baking powder, to give it its correct chemical name, is sodium bicarbonate. And vinegar is an acid. This is acetic acid. So we then need to take our vinegar. Now I find it a bit easier to pour it into a jug. So you're going to take your vinegar. Now vinegar does smell a bit, so again you might be better doing this outside. And you're going to put some vinegar into your jug. Like so. So you've got a jug full of vinegar. Now, this reaction does happen quite quickly, so make sure that everybody is watching each of these containers as I add the vinegar in, and then you should see your rainbow exploding. But I'm also going to repeat this experiment one more time. So as the vinegar goes in, oh, I can hear it fizzing, I don't know if you can. It is starting to explode. I'll just pop a drop more vinegar into that one. So there we have our exploding rainbows. So we have taken all of our colours of the rainbow and we have made them explode. And I hope this is an experiment that you really, really do enjoy doing at home. Like I say, I'm going to repeat it one more time using my conical flask so you can see what has happened. But like I say, it is our sodium bicarbonate, our baking soda and our vinegar, our acetic acid that is doing all of the hard work today. See if I can bring this blue one just a little bit closer so that you can see it exploding. And what this is it's formed a gas. Does anybody know what gas our rainbows has formed? Shout it out if you think you know it. Let me see if I can hear you. That's right, well done. I knew I'd got some absolute super scientists watching today. That's right, it has formed carbon dioxide gas. So in here, like I said, they're all going. I've got big explosions happening. I'll try and bring some of them even closer to you, but you can see all the colours of the rainbow. Now, carbon dioxide, like I say, is a gas. And what happens is it bubbles up. So our baking powder, our sodium bicarbonate, and our vinegar, our acetic acid, are causing a chemical reaction. Like I said, our rainbow is just for the effect. The food colouring isn't doing too much in there. It's our baking powder and our vinegar that are reacting together. And from there, they have formed a carbon dioxide gas. Because it's quite a rapid, sudden reaction inside my small containers, it has bubbled up and then erupted, exploded over the top. So I'm just going to repeat this. I hope you're enjoying seeing these rainbows. This is one of my favourite, but I'm just going to repeat it one more time because this is something that I really would love everyone to safely have a go with at home. So I'm going to use my conical flask just to show you one more time what you need to do. So you need to add your baking powder. And by this stage, I'm hoping that you're all able to tell me why we're using baking powder and why we're doing vinegar, and that we're all shouting out at home or if we're at school what the reaction is. So we're going to add, this spoon probably should be a bit smaller, bicarbonate of soda. We're then going to add some food colour. Now, what colour would everyone like this extra demo to be? Is there a particular colour that anyone would like to see from the rainbow? What would we like? What are we thinking? Shout them out now. Let's see what we think. Right, I think we've got a red. So we will go for red. So then you put your baking powder into any container that you have. It's just ideal with it being clear so that you can really see that reaction taking place. You then add your food colouring. Try and make it a nice deep red for you all. And you're then going to add your vinegar. The reactions are still taking place. I'll pop it back in my jug just so that I can try and not tip vinegar all over. So you are then going to add vinegar, and like I say, you can repeat this for any colour that you like, anything that you've got at home. I'm just going to pour it in, but then I will help hold it up for you all. Off it goes. And everyone see that? And everybody see that erupting? That is quite a large reaction. Now, I thought that once you'd learnt this skill, you might be thinking, well, what else could I use this chemical reaction for? I've done my exploding rainbows. I enjoyed that. Oh, that's a super reaction. I think everybody can hopefully see that. That is a very large exploding first colour of our rainbow. And actually, you can really see the carbon dioxide, all the bubbles building up, rapidly expanding and coming out of the top. So, yeah, I thought you might think, all right, I've learnt this skill. I can do my exploding rainbows. Brilliant. I've really enjoyed that. But what else could I use this chemical reaction for? Well, I don't know if you're like me, but I really like Harry Potter. So I also use these to make potions and spells. If you collect just some empty plastic bottles, I've been saving everything so I can do my experiments from home. If you collect some empty bottles, you can print labels off, you can collect twigs and things from out of the garden, and you can make your own potions at home using this exact same experiment. So you can do exploding rainbows, you can make potions. I also thought, because some of you may already have done this at home, but you can also make your own volcano using these reactions. Again, all that you would need to do is to add your bicarbonate of soda, your vinegar, or you can even use ketchup in this case if you don't have any vinegar. And then you can have a big erupting volcano as well. But obviously today we were focusing on our exploding rainbows. Now, I've got a bit of a challenge for you all at home, and I'm sure you can send it into STEM Learning or you can tweet it to me directly. I would absolutely love to see your science experiments at home, because always remember to have fish adult and always make sure that you stay safe. But how about filming your exploding rainbows or taking some pictures and sharing them with everybody else? Why don't we get really scientific? Can we write a hypothesis, a prediction of what's going to happen and why? Could you write me a step-by-step method? So you could even include pictures in that method. Step 1, I set up my equipment. Step 2, what did you do? You could then even share it with your friends and you could pass this experiment around your community. Could you write a conclusion? Why did our rainbows explode today and how did we make them explode? So I really, really hope that everybody has thoroughly enjoyed their exploding rainbows today. Thank you so, so much for watching, and I really do hope that this is something that you can enjoy at home, that you share your experiments with us, and that you are able to show us your scientific writing. Thank you so much.